Okay, welcome back to another Realm of the Mad God video, and unlike most other times that I've made a video like this where I'm just running around godless shooting things, I actually have a plan for something to talk about it. This one, it'll be talking about Discord servers, just the state of Discord servers in the game, sort of how they work if you're not aware, and just my own experiences with them. And in full disclosure, because the community it's quite divided on the issue, like Discords are killing the game, Discords save the game, I hate them, I love them, whatever. So just straight up analysis on pretty much what they are, how they work, trying to just talk about why they exist and what I overall think of them. And in full disclosure, there's going to be a massive bias towards Discords in this video, because I'm an upper staff member in the Lost Halls Discord server as a head event organizer. I'll get into what each of these roles mean later on. In the Fungal and Crystal Cavern server, I'm a head raid leader. I've been staffing both of those servers for over 2 years. And in the Dungeoneer server, primarily for Oryx 3s, but also leads other Exalt dungeons, I'm an officer. And I've been in the staff in that server for a little over a year at this point. So obviously, no, I do not hate Discord servers, because of course I'm a part of them, but here's the way generally Discord servers work. All of them, they're focused on endgame dungeons for the most part. For example, the Lost Halls Discord server. It's dedicated towards Lost Halls raids. We're branching out into more of a exaltations in general, but we're primarily the Lost Halls servers to go to for people who are learning Lost Halls who want to do them in Discord raids. Fungal and Crystal Cavern is really just Fungals. Don't really run anything else there. And, of course, we run the Fungal Cavern and Crystal Cavern dungeons. And that's my favorite dungeon, by the way. And that influences my opinion a little. I just got a Ray Katana. That's interesting. That's my first white of this double white event. That's actually what's happening right now. Double event white drop chance. And then Dungeoneer is primarily an Oryx 3 server, one of the 2 Oryx 3 servers, or primary Oryx 3 servers, the other one being Oryx Sanctuary, which is partnered with Lost Halls. And Dungeoneer also runs other Exalt dungeons, but their main focus is also O3. Just like Pub Halls does other Exaltation dungeons, but with a main focus on the halls. So pretty much the way these Discord servers work, just the basic structure of them is you have a bunch of staff members, you have moderators, of course, which is just Discord moderators. There are head raid leaders. Actually, I'll go down the moderation branch first. There's an officer, which is the step before moderator. Like, you have the moderator at the top of the server, and then you have officer just a step below it. That's my current position in Dungeoneer, which is an upper staff role, and helping to... It's an administrative role for the security members, which I will get into. Magic words, I'm teleporting to that. I still need a flow and clarity. And an administrative role for the security is more server management than actual... well, in addition to the standard responsibilities of a security, which is mostly the same in every server. I'm also a security in the Fungal server. I did not mention that earlier. Head raid leader and security. Security members deal with enforcing the rules for the most part, where, like, verifying people on their accounts, dealing with, like, Discord account issues, kind of like mini moderators. Oh, white bag. I'm dead inside. I am so dead inside right now. I'm not picking that up. Like verifications, also, it's a moderation role. So it's like a moderator, but there's more of them, generally more active than the mods. they're like really responsible to moderate the server, like messages in the server and in the runs to enforce the rules, which is parsing, finding out people who are under Rex in the runs or crashing the run, being in the run and not in the VC. That's something I'll talk about later on. My thoughts on crashers and what it specifically means, but I do have to have a stance on it being a security in two different discords. Well, security one, officer in the other, but... And that's what the security members in some servers, including Fungal and Dungeoneer, not including Lost Halls, though. I might say Lost Halls or Pub Halls, it's the same server. The official Discord name is Lost Halls, but it's generally called Pub Halls. To eliminate any confusion there, it's with, it's like a mini security, just finding out, can we trust this person with moderation actions on the server, and it's just like 2 to 3 weeks as helper being active to see if they're promoted to security or not, and really, if your vote from helper to security goes up, you're probably going to be getting promoted, because there's, officers, you don't know when your vote's up. You can ask if it's up, but you can never know how it's going, and you're not necessarily told when it's up. Then that's what the moderation branch mostly is, but helpers mostly parse, and Dungeoneer it's also verifications, and then security can also handle the mod mail. Ooh, this is something to talk about. There's a misconception about mod mail that it's always a bad thing, that like RLs shit themselves when they hear they're getting mod mailed, but generally, a lot of mod mail is asking for help with verifications. It's not necessarily about an RL, but even then, it's not always for... It has a negative connotation that's a bad thing, but it's really not. Like, mod mail's appreciated. Positive mod mail is good mod mail, as is negative mod mail, constructive feedback for the raid leader. Whatever it may be, but it's not like I only go to mod mail when this RL pissed me off and I really had something to say about it. Like, just any comments, any feedback can be sent to mod mail in any server. It's really always appreciated when it's like specific, other than just like Triforce good RL, Triforce bad RL. Like specifically, good RL did this and this. Like, calls were good, I liked the calls, I enjoyed the raids, or calls were terrible, missed a bunch of enemies, I hated the raids, whatever. It's always good feedback to get, especially because that's forwarded on to head raid leaders. I will talk about that in a moment, like the raid leader roles. And sometimes it's something it's just like, okay, move on, and sometimes it's something important to discuss, maybe take action, pass on to the raid leader in question, because we can't be in all of the raids. It's just not going to happen. There's not going to be an HRL in every raid, but there'll be a bunch of raids, and if something goes really, really well or really, really terribly, we'll hear about it from the raiders via the mod mail. So that's something else securities can do. And then shifting over to the raid leading branch of the servers, there's two different servers branches for the main servers. There's the moderation branch, which is moderator, officer, security, and then in some servers helper. And then the raid leading branch also starts at moderator, and heading down you go to head raid leader, which is it's the equivalent authority as an officer. And similar position where it's just administrative over the raid leaders instead of over the securities like an officer is. Handling that, promoting trial raid leaders, I'll get to that. Etc, etc. And just making sure that our raid leaders are up to scratch. Enforcing staff roles pretty much is what it comes down to for head raid leader and officer. And also head raid leaders in the servers are chosen for run quality, maturity, overall activity, things like that. And that's the top of the regular raid leading branch. You can get up to moderator from there. you can get up to moderator from officer as well. That's the highest role achievable on the servers. Moderator. And right below head raid leader is a veteran raid leader, which is also people chosen for maturity, really good run quality activity. Head raid leader is a step above that. There's an expectation that head raid leaders are some of the best leaders in the server. Veteran raid leaders just a step below that. Also being extremely talented raid leaders. But a difference between HRL and VRL, those are the abbreviations, is that there's not really a cap on the amount of VRLs, whereas HRLs are normally limited to a certain number. So it's a lot easier to get a promotion to VRL from RL than it is from VRL to HRL. Because it hinges on being a really exceptional leader, as well as there being the need for another HRL. Whereas VRL is really just on merit alone. Like, are you showing that you're qualified to be a veteran raid leader, then we promote you regardless of whether we have 3 of them or whether we have like 6 of them, 8 of them, whatever. There's not a cap on VRL generally. But it's also not like VRL is given out to anybody and everybody. It's something that still needs to be earned. These beholders are pissing me off. Lotto is left of Avatar, you say. That is good to know. Because I want the Lotto. And well, veteran, also part of the leading chain is being able to give feedback on the newer raid leaders. This video isn't scripted, it's probably clear. It's probably clear that's not scripted, I don't script any videos. Giving feedback to TRLs, ARLs, I'll get into what both of those mean in a moment. But also quality of feedback for newer leaders to improve their leading ability is something looked for in both VRL and HRL promotions. Then one step down from VRL is RL, raid leader. Just a regular raid leader, where it's a role that's for leading runs. Raid leaders really just lead runs in the server, provide feedback to almost raid leaders and trial raid leaders. I'll get into those. And they're generally a huge workhorse in the server because it's rather easy to get the raid leader role, comparatively to like VRL, HRL, for instance. So you'll see a lot of people with the regular raid leader role. I think now in Fungo we have more VRLs than we do regular RLs. I'm not certain on that though. But you see regular raid leaders a lot, and it's just about leading runs, feedbacking newer leaders, it's also a position that shows you've been staff for a little bit, a few weeks. Changes depending on the server, but roughly 2 to 3 weeks, unless you're an exceptional candidate, either on the higher end, like really good, it'll be faster, or not quite up to scratch and slower, which will be slower. But that's what RL is, really the quote primary leader of the server, and that's a role you can get to pretty quickly, as long as with competency. Role below that is almost raid leader, which is the somewhat equivalent to helper, in a sense. It's newer raid leaders, different restrictions for different servers. Like in the Fungal server, regular raid leaders can chain, almost raid leaders cannot, unless they have a regular raid leader there who just approves it. Reasoning behind that, almost raid leaders are newer, might not know when it's best to do something or not to do something. So that's that about almost raid leaders, but they also lead runs same way as regular RLs. They're just new promotions getting used to leading, being in that server, and a lot of people don't spend too much time as ARL because the RL promotion comes somewhat quick after that, depending on the server, of course. And the role below that in all servers is called Trial Raid Leader, which is somebody trialing to be a staff member, where they get a finite number of runs called TRL runs to lead themselves with a full raid leader or higher watching the run, and then giving feedback afterwards, like how to improve your leading for the standards of this server, which are different for depending on the dungeon, depending on which server you're leading in. But that's what a TRL is overall. And after all of the runs, there's a vote that's put up. Is this person deserving of ARL? Are the runs safe enough to be given ARL to continue leading with us? So that's what TRL is. It's a weird in-between between regular raider and staff, because you don't really gain too many more permissions than a regular raider does. Of course, you have a few more, but it's kind of like regular raider plus. Not really a full staff member, but not just an ordinary raider, is probably the best way of putting it. That's how it is for at least the fungal server. It's slightly different from server to server, as you might expect. But that's generally what a tier is. So those are the different roles. They might go by different names in different servers. Like, I think one has security called Bouncer instead of security, for instance. I think Orc Sanctuary has Warden instead of security, but just for the most part the same thing. So that's what the roles are, and then how the server works is that an almost raid leader or higher in the raid leading branch will put up a run, or what's called a head count, where it's just finding out if we have people, keys, etc. to run the raid. If they're happy with if you're going to join the run as a raider, you just react onto the AFK check with whatever you're bringing. If you have a key, if you're bringing a certain class, or just react that you're interested. Do that on the AFK check to let the leader know. And then if they're happy with the reacts, they'll go up and put up what's called an AFK check, which is where you set the location for the run, just organize it essentially, get the keys, get to your location, and get the run on its way. You react to the AFK check with whatever you're bringing, and you join the voice channel that the RL put the run up in. And then you just wait for them to call the location of the run in that call, like Europe North Left Bazaar, for instance, if that's where the run is happening. You make your way to the bazaar. Once the number of people in the voice channel equals the number of people in the bazaar, the RL will request that the key popper pop their key, open up the dungeon, and then start leading. And I have another 8-8 night. Fantastic. So that's how a run gets started, and in the run you're supposed to stay in the voice call, listen to what the RL says, so you're not supposed to deafen or leave the call. That's standard for regular raids in most servers, with some caveats of, say, some servers let people who are verified for the veteran section, which is just showing a lot of familiarity with the dungeon, like trusted, you can do this dungeon, sort of deal, where you can deafen in regular raids. That's only in some servers. Make sure if you're joining raids, if you're a veteran raider, you know if the server you're in is one you can deafen in regular raids or not. I didn't talk about veteran runs, but I might not. Depends on how long this video goes. I didn't expect to already be 20 minutes and it's still talking about this, but That's essentially how the runs are put up in a Discord server. And what else? I don't know where I was going. Oh yes, crashing. This is something I wanted to talk about. When somebody is in the run, but not in the raid voice channel in Discord that the run is being held in, they're considered a crasher. And servers generally don't like that. Because of just the simple structure of wanting to have... I'll get more into this later, but wanting to have the private group they pop the key for, make sure they the key's going well. It's a safeguard against trolling, essentially. Even though a lot of time crashing isn't malicious, it's just the way it is. But what I talked about security is they parse runs. That's taking a /who, finding out who's in the dungeon, and putting it into a bot, checking that against the list of people in the VC. That's what a parse is. And generally it works pretty well. But thinking about crashers, like a lot of people get quite frustrated by just removing crashers from the run. My thought on it: 4 keys popped in a bazaar. That's actually a private raid that's being organized, and it's a common courtesy to just let the people organize those raids. Like this group of people is doing the run with the key popped by this person who's willing to pop it for this group. So just try to respect that. Respect the key that's being popped, the group it's being popped for, because it is a private run. That's why it's held in a location like a bazaar instead of just out in the Nexus somewhere, or like popped in a realm or something. I'll talk about O3 in a moment. That is an important difference from other things, in my opinion. But let's just try to respect the people who pop the key. Follow what they request of you. Like if you're in a Discord raid, like somebody popped the key, we'll request that you're in the voice channel. I don't think that's an unreasonable request, considering that we're providing the key in a private location like a bazaar. Important distinction there. O3 is different, in my opinion. Like, still, yes, you have the runes to pop. You've got to pop the runes. Which is like, okay, but that's the same thing. It's just popping for a private group of people. I somewhat agree with this, but I would say a lot of servers, at least runs I do, like in Dungeoneer, the runes, we pop them instantly after Oryx 2 dies. And then it's more popping it for the public rather than a specific group, because the realm is a public location. The bazaar is too, but it's still more of a private location. Like, you go into a realm to play the game. You don't really go into a bazaar to play the game, really just for Discord runs at this point, actually. So I don't, but in the case of O3, if somebody really wants a specific group, they wait, they hang on to the runes, they request that people leave. So they don't have crashes in those runs. And I would also agree with that. Like, if you're waiting so long to, if you want to withhold your items, the runes, for a specific group that you don't want other people to join in, it would be nice to have the common courtesy to let them join the run with the people they want to join the run, rather than just staying in there and ruining it. Now, even if you're not ruining it, in their eyes you could be. Which is a distinction to make. So, like, realms are public places. That is totally, I 100% agree with that. Oryx Sanctuary is generally, in the runs I do, a public place because the runes are popped instantly after the Oryx 2 dies and that you're able to pop. I don't fault anyone for going into a Sanctuary in a realm if that's the case. If they were just in the realm, if it's a Discord run, they weren't in the run. But if someone's explicitly waiting for other people to leave, generally a good idea to just respect that and let them enjoy that part of the game with the people they want to enjoy it with. Ooh, a Lotto just spawned. That's how I see it. There's a huge polarization on this issue. That's my view on it. I'm gonna get hate for that. I know I'm gonna get hate for that, but talking about that issue is going to get you hate no matter what stance you choose. That's how I feel about it. And that goes back to a thing about Discord servers with a sense of elitism and entitlement. Where a lot of people feel like they have, or they do have authority in a certain server over some other people by being a staff member, which promotes an attitude of like, I'm better than you. Somewhat a toxic environment in some cases, depending on the person, and an attitude of elitism. If you're not bringing this, we don't want you in here. Which has been a consistent criticism of Discord servers. Like also promoting like these items are the best because you need them to join better runs for this dungeon. Another sense of elitism you see namely from veteran raids that people claim is hurting the game. They're probably right about that, but in my opinion, having high DPS isn't necessarily the best. Like, you look at my set, you're like, Triforce, you're a hypocrite. You have a 4/4 knight set. You're right, I do. I like this set. Well, the sword, because it's one of the better swords, so yes, that is based on damage, but Escutcheon as well. But also, Escutcheon gives me 7 speed, which I love. Gladguard gives me 7 speed, which is fantastic, and Potato gives me 6 speed and 6 defense, in addition to the DPS stats. But what I really like about this is how fast and tanky I am, even though it is, again, all of these are high damaging items. When I'm playing other characters, like say I'm playing a wizard, I play that when I have a fungal spell, which is, again, is a really good damage item, but it's a fun item in my opinion as well. It's not the best. Like Tablet, Paraspell, Genesis Spell, Penetrating Blast Spell are all generally better than the fungal spell, but I use the fungal spell over them because I just have so much fun with it. When I play a samurai, Fractured Gemstone Wakizashi, one of my favorite Wakizashis because it's so fun to use, but heavily discarded by the community because it's not like super astronomical damage output, like a tier 7 for instance, or a Wakizashi of Eastern Winds, or the Amaterasu, the Aegis of Oryx one. So I use the set more because it's fun rather than the high damage output, although I will not deny that high damage is something that does in fact make it fun to play. But the high speed and the high defense, it's so fun for me. But back to Discord servers, veteran raids in particular sort of stifle that sort of creative playstyle of playing for fun. Where it's like, I want to bring this to this run because it's fun to play, but it's not good enough for the person who's leading the run, so I can't bring it. So it's like you see so many sets that look pretty much the same because they're hyper-focused to be on those items that are really good and make the run faster, which I guess faster is generally better, but it's not always the most fun. That's actually a reason why I avoid veteran raids in the Fungal Discord server, despite being able to lead them. I don't really love vet runs, I'll be honest. I enjoy actually doing the dungeon rather than just speeding through it and steamrolling everything. Which, granted, a solo is kind of like that as well, but it's also slightly different, in a way. I don't know where I'm going with this, but... Oh, hey, a shield room. Where do I want to go with this? Yeah, so that's something that's not great that's come out of Discord servers that people are very, very clear of. Creates a sense of elitism elsewhere too. Like, these people in this Discord server said this item is not good, so if you're using it, you're not good. Could still be good. Could be using it because it's a fun item to use. Like, people flame me for using potato, even though it is one of the items that is recognized as good enough to be on veteran rec sheets. I like potato. I like the speed I get from it. I like the defense I get from it. The DPS is a nice boost. I will be honest on that. If I do get Twilight Gemstones, I've gotten a lot better at second boss and shatters, so I can, so it's not out of the picture to foresee those at some point soon. But I would use that over the potato. It just makes Night better. But yes, that is also playing into that this item is really, really good. It gives, I think, 5 speed and 8 defense instead of the 6 and 6. But if I'm correct on that. But also has a nice ability. I think it gives mana and makes the mana cost of the shield lower. So repeating things a lot was going to go back to the people say this item's not good, therefore it's not good. And it wouldn't be as prevalent if Discord servers weren't a thing and weren't promoting the elitism of having and using these specific items. Like, Gladguard's a good item. Anybody could look at the stats and tell you that even without a Discord server saying this is one of the best armors in the game. It gives you 7 speed, it gives you 20 defense, and it gives you 5 attack and 5 dexterity. That's pretty dumb and should maybe actually be nerfed a little bit. 6 speed maybe, but it's great. I love it. People say Mercy Bait is a fantastic item. You get 7 dexterity, you get 7 attack from it. Think about all of that damage. I don't like Mercy Bane. I really do not like using the Mercy Bane because you lose so much defense. You only have 10 defense when you're using a Mercy Bane. I don't like that. So I don't use Mercy Bane, even though people say no Mercy Bane. Is it a good item? In some senses it's a good item. It shoots your damage through the roof over, say, tier 15. But I prefer having the extra 18 defense you get from a tier 15 over the 7 attack and 7 dex I get from a Mercy Bane. In my eyes, what good is being able to hit something for a lot of damage if I can't get close enough to them to be able to hit them because I take too much damage? The answer to that is just dodge, but I'm a Knight main. I learn how to push in on bosses by what I can tank and what I can't tank, and losing 18 defense is a huge change for that. In the case of Gladguard to Mercies, it's 10 defense, but that's huge. Let's look at that. Let's take my Escutcheon off. It gives me 10 defense. I have a combat trigger of 46. I have 71 defense now. I get put in combat by a shot that deals 117 damage. A 117 damage shot would put me in combat. If I put the Escutcheon back on her, in this case, we'll think of it in comparison to the Gladguard in comparison to a Mercy Bane, because it's the 10 defense difference. I can now take a shot that deals 130 damage before I go into combat. A 130 damage shot puts me in combat now because I have 81 defense and a 49 combat trigger. So the DPS is lower. Heck, if I go back to my Nexus and put a tier 15 on, I think I have a tier 15 in my vault. It might be on another character. It's on another character. That's unfortunate. Okay, I think that bumps my combat trigger up to 50 with the extra 8 defense. But it's a really nice bump, and I prefer having that defense to the extra damage that a Mercy Bane provides. And I would still use a Gladguard if it was 20 defense and 7 speed. Just ignoring the attack and dex entirely. Like, I'll run around goblins, I won't even shoot. I'll just use my ability for now. Like, my damage output right now is coming from my ability, not the 6 speed and 6 defense I get from the potato, not the 6 dex and 6 attack I get from the potato, not from the 5 attack and 5 dex I get from the glad guard. It's just the ability itself is really good. And if I put a mithril shield on, my damage output is lower, but that's because of the shield itself, and what the shield does, not necessarily because of the attack and dex stats from my ring and armor. Let's do something crazy for a second. Okay. If I'm just using my ability here, my damage output is not changed by losing that 5 attack and 5 dex, for instance. Obviously, I feel the difference of not having the 7 speed, but when I'm riding around just using my ability, that's the bulk of my damage. The dex and attack from the glad guard just doesn't matter with your ability. So what I'm getting at is higher DPS isn't necessarily better. And that is an attitude that Discord servers are heavily responsible for creating. So that's a lot of gods. Just press spacebar and they're gone. That is a negative of Discord servers. But we look on one of the positive sides of Discord servers is it's the community joining together to take on dungeons meant to be taken on as a group in a massively multiplayer online game, in MMO. Like, Lost Halls was the first, like, dungeon that was endgame for our current endgame. It was the Lost Halls. Shadows, I think, did come a little before it, but Old Shadows was different, and that's not relevant anymore, so we'll talk about the Lost Halls. Granted, Halls was reworked as well, but it's still much the same. Or, it very closely resembles its roots. Shadows is a lot more different than that. But the community joined together with Discord servers to be able to tackle the new challenging dungeon that Deca just made. Right now, I will say, I am transitioning into sucking off Discord servers for being really good. I will mention that. I was just flaming them for a little. Now we're talking about positive things. So if you want to hear just another guy telling you why you should use Discord servers, maybe click away now. But also it's 40 minutes in, so like... But the community joined together to tackle this new dungeon designed, at least as far as I know, to be taken on by the community. Which was a pretty remarkable thing that people could do with the internet and working together. Join together to do the dungeon, but they've really also watered down the game's content at this point. Like, you see people just grinding them over and over without too much real risk, because there's just such a big grip to just carry you through it. Like, a lot of people who know what they're doing thanks to the Discord servers. A lot of people who know exactly what's going to be coming up, who are telling you exactly what's going to be coming up in the dungeon you're doing. Being the raid leader. That's what raid leading is. Telling the people what's about to happen and what's dangerous and what to avoid. So it's really watered down this content that was once challenging in the game. Like, provided a great place for people to learn the new content and be able to complete the new content, and just farm the new content to get those really good items from the end of the game, like my entire set right now. I'm not going to reopen the can of worms, or are they really good because Discord servers say they're good because they're DPS, but... Like the tier 14 sword, for instance. You don't need somebody shoving a rec sheet down your throat to say, that's a good item. You'll be like, okay, I'm using a, say, tier 11 sword right now. It's pretty solid. Tier 14 is just tier 11, but objectively better. It does the exact same things as a tier 11. It does not have any drawbacks to it. Where other swords, like, say, the Call sword, it does a lot more damage than the tier 11 sword. But there's the drawback that it's more difficult to use than the tier 11. But tier 14, the exact same shot pattern, fire rate, everything. It just deals more damage. That's it. So it's just objectively a better item. It's not like the tier 11 sword's a bad sword, there's just better items. Like, for instance, the tier 12 sword, the tier 13 sword, the tier 14 sword. So you're able to get these really good items by joining a Discord server, which is eliminating a lot of challenge from dungeons like Lost Halls, the Nest, or the Fungal Cavern. Shadow's Lost Halls and both 3 are different. Or Cultist Hideout, rather, because the Void is different. Cultist Hideout's still more of the same. Just joining with people who really know what they're doing, and trusting that they'll be able to really help get you through the dungeon. Yes, it's partly being carried, while you're still learning what you're doing, and still having access to the incredible loot you can get from these dungeons. It's a great place to learn, but also it waters down the experience. It's not as much of a challenge to just farm the dungeons over and over until you get what you want, when really the big risk is that you're just going to zone out and do something stupid rather than actually fall to the challenge of the dungeon itself. Which is another issue of Discord servers, which is drop rates. Don't quote me on this. This is speculation, but I do believe that drop rates for dungeons are balanced around the thought that people are going to buy keys and just run them again and again and again, like we see Discord servers do. That's a really good source of income for Deck with people buying the keys, so they balance it around that. Which has the glaring issue. What about people who don't run with Discord servers, or who want to do the dungeon without a Discord server, even if they do use them, like when I solo a fungal, for instance. I use Discord servers. I am a very long-time staff member of the fungal Discord server, but sometimes I want to do a fungal not with the server. And there's the drop rates balanced to being able to just mindlessly sit in the dungeon, shoot everything with a big group, not too much of a challenge, and the loot is based on just the time you spend doing that. Not so much around the actual challenge, which means when you're doing one in a realm, it's like, why am I doing this? It doesn't seem like you're doing it for the reward you can get, but rather for the experience of doing it outside of a Discord server, in my opinion. It's a pretty clear issue with the game that you can easily, and in my opinion, correctly point to Discord servers and identify them as the issue for that. When I do a dungeon in the realm, it doesn't have a great drop rate. That's because the drop rates are sort of balanced with the current state of the game being centered around Discord servers for the endgame dungeons, and just running loads of those over and over with a supply of keys from people that are buying them, with constant supply of people willing to join them, rather than doing this, what I'm probably going to do right now, depending on the dungeon mods. Kill a Dwarf Miner, then go into the Fungal Cavern and do the Fungal Cavern. You get one Fungal a realm doing this, and the drop rates are so low for that. Like, they're pretty decent if you're just doing them, like a bunch of them just chaining off of keys, and you don't need to go out, find a Dwarf Miner, kill the Dwarf Miner, and hope you're with people who can make the run pretty quick, the Fungal pretty quick. It's balanced around the run being pretty reasonable speed, with a lot of people just sitting there blasting at everything, whether they're thinking or not. Which means it doesn't feel rewarding to do, say, a fungal from the realm. Aside from just the reward of getting the experience, it's not really for the loot. Because realistically, you're really not going to get it just from one fungal. And when you consider the hassle it takes to do one fungal in a realm, it's just not worth it. And in my opinion, Discord servers are the problem. with that. It's my view on the best way to change that is for everything that spawns in the realm to have, like, mods have been added to the dungeons. Like, the more loot bonus mod, you can get that by modding your keys. But I feel like dungeons in the realm, specifically the Court of Orcs, that's probably the worst offender that I can think of, could just have a constant, like, loot boost mod, so you can still keep the drop rates balanced for the mindless Discord farming, while still being able to make it rewarding to clear it in the realm. Like, just have the constant mod there and just balance the loot boost mod on the based on what the dungeon is and what the drop rates are balanced for Discord servers. Like, that's my speculation on why the drop rates are what they are, and a possible solution to fix it if that is indeed correct. Also, a great thing about Discord servers is that it prepares you, like, for servers for specific dungeons, like Lost Halls. We run more than just Lost Halls in that server, but the Lost Halls section is very heavily on calling anything and everything you see in the dungeon, so people know what the dangers are. The Orc Sanctuary server is the same in O3. Dungeoneer server is the same for O3s. Fungal is the same for Fungal raids. The Pest Control server is the same for the Nest, which is their main dungeon. The Shatters is the same for the Shatters dungeon. And via the Fungal server, I learned how to do this dungeon. Through my experience with it, I know what every single enemy will do, what behavior I can expect, and we're already at 75, that's pretty cracked. Behavior I can expect from enemies. So it's still somewhat of a challenge for me, even though I know everything. It's just not like I'm going to get surprise insta-killed, which is a benefit of Discord servers, that there's someone there telling you what is going to insta-kill you if you're not careful, so you know to avoid that. Like, or for instance, knowing which direction to go. Like, I knew this left split wasn't going to go to the drill. I learned that from the Fungal server. Is it down? Okay. Like, that could have gone either way, thank you. Like, as soon as I went down from the spot, I knew that was main path. Yep, there's drill. This could have gone left and then down into drill. Actually, maybe not. Could have left into drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could have gone down there into drill. But now that I'm not with the server, it's not like all the dangers sort of eliminated. Well, it kind of is. This group's pretty good, but Discords aren't responsible for this grouping. In a way, they are, because I'm guessing most people in here learned how to do it through a Discord server. Not specifically the Fungal server. Other servers run Fungals, but we're the main one. But yeah, this fight doesn't look like we really have slows. We still have stuns. I became a pretty darn good Knight player in Fungals from the Fungal server. Like, I know you can rotate and stun Crystal War Mother here because of a lot of experience and being able to try. Can you stun it here from runs in the Fungal server? Or it's a great practice ground for learning the dungeon, learning new things, how to play the dungeon, new techniques that you can then apply, like if you're doing something in the realm like this. But also, a lot of times you just don't go to the realm for something like this because you have access to the Discord server. Rest in peace. Like, I know those shots converge. I've done like 2,500 of these runs in the Fungal server. Like, I know what's going on. I know what's going to happen. We're going to kill 2 more seconds, and then we'll be able to shoot the mother again. We'll kill 1 more second, then we can shoot the mother again. I know that from being in the Fungal server, doing runs with them, leading runs with them. And now it moves a lot faster, but it's slowed right now, so it actually doesn't. I'm going to try to line you up with the stun slip. See, there's the move. The stuns won't slip because we have another knight in here, but who's also really good. Gladiator, the White Star, is also a knight. With a very similar set to my own, just has a divinity and a horn instead of a tier 14 and a potato. I knew the Crystal Cavern spawns right at the top of the room. I know you can run right past these minecarts and see where the split goes. This left split is going to go to boss. I can tell you that right now. the Discord servers teach you those things about the dungeon, which is a pretty darn good thing about them. Like, this child's about to go into that crazy pedal phase. That would be a pretty big shock to someone who doesn't know what to expect. Like, this charger, if you're not expecting it, that can charge on you and insta-kill you. Like, it's just standing still now, but that charges on you. Those slimes, they're armor breaking. Like, that person doesn't know how to dodge. I know how to because I have the experience in it. See, it has a left split and up split. This tells you that this path is the one that goes to drill. Just looking at this, I can tell you it goes to drill. Because you only have 5 rooms to get to drill. This is also learning like a somewhat of a fungal one. Like, this up is not going to go to drill. I do not think it'll go to drill. Actually, it could go up then left and left to drill, but I'm pretty sure this is not going to go to drill. See? Just intuition. Well, in my experience, it's actually different for being a raid leader. Oh wait, a raid leader in what? The fungal Discord server. Like, you can really, really learn a dungeon well in the Discord server. There's also the argument about it, you don't need a Discord server to learn the dungeon well. That is also very true. Sometimes the best ways to learn in a dungeon is just to go in head first and just see what everything does. However, there's a crazy amount of risk to that, like something that could jump on you and insta-kill you, like these yellow charges, for instance. If you're not ready for them, like you don't know what they'll do, or blue charge is a better example because of how it behaves, it could charge on you and insta-kill you, and then you went through the entire fungal, you got to the Crystal Cavern, and then you just die just like that. You gotta remax your other character, find another Dwarf Miner, do the other Dwarf Miner, do the other fungal. It's just so much time to be able to try again. Radiant Heart. Whereas the server, like, the raid leader will tell you that that blue charger is about to jump. You want it to be slowed, and obviously you want to slow on it so it jumps slower so you can predict it better. That's an up and then up into drill right there. I know that because there's 5 minutes to drill. It's, and that's not something you need to find out on your own. So you learn the basic things like that, like pretty much what can insta-kill you via the server, and you can learn everything else from a solo. Or just a small person run like this one, you can learn what each enemy does. And the boss is actually a really, really great place to show it. I'll show you what the mini-boss is. Like, you would have no idea what's going on the first time you see this dungeon if you don't have somebody telling you what's going to happen. Which means very likely you are going to get killed. And again, you cleared through 2 entire dungeons, and now you're here, you die, and you have to start again all over. You had no idea what happened. Like, I know, like, oh, where's it going? I know it's going mid-left side. It's like, okay, push in and shoot. Oh wait, I've got to back out because those are lining up. If you're not on your guard when you're soloing, that'll insta-kill you. It just will. The second mini-boss, the fish. If we get it. We didn't. Okay. Scorpion. Rotate. That shotgun does a lot of damage. You'll probably find that out. You're probably not saying on it, but it's like, which one do I shoot? This one is more noticeable, but it takes time to notice that. Like, that attack's pretty well indicated, but the fractal, it's like, that'll insta-kill you. You need to know that. I mean, it is pretty intuitive, but you need to know to watch for that arrow. And the monstrosity. This one's terrifying. Especially if you're new to the dungeon. Like, what's that? That's a confused shot. I'm sick of that armor broken. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know to drag it around, you'll run away from it. What happens when you run away? You get hit by those blind bombs, 200 damage apiece. They blind you. That's terrifying. You're probably gonna die. The Discord server makes the call so you can learn how to do that, the dangers of the enemies, and then you're able to experiment with it more. Like, I figured out through solos the best way to deal with that is to drag it around the edges like I was doing. A white bag! Yeah, a schematic. I know I was talking about the drop rates being shit, and I will say this is probably the first white bag I've gotten in the past 30 plus fungals. Or not fungals, crystals. Because I did get a white bag from one of the fungals earlier. So, yeah. it is balanced around the Discord server. Like, if I did that run on Discord server, that would have been the time that I got one, for instance. But I wasn't expecting to get one. Because the drop rates are just so low, you really can't rely on them when you're clearing a realm. I didn't talk about everything that I wanted to talk about. It's already an hour. I'll finish closing this realm, and then I'll close off the video. Damn. But yeah, there's a lot of good that comes from Discord servers. There's a lot of bad that comes from Discord servers. Is overall the message that I'm sending here, and just give a little insight as to how a Discord server works, and what each role means. There's probably going to be nobody who sees it, but it's something I talked about. I was talking for an hour, haven't been really realizing it as much, but probably do this Magic Woods, see if there's anything else in the... oh yeah, also my lust, for lack of a better word, for a Shield of Flowing Clarity. Guess what that comes from? Discord servers, because I know how useful it can be to have a stun and a slow in the Crystal Word Mother for raids in the Fungal Discord server. So that's a negative that comes out of it, hunting for one specific item because of its utility in a Discord server. And I didn't get it. Of course I didn't get it, I'm never going to get it. But... one more lich and then I'll close off this video. Go eat lunch and then sign off. Or well, do something else rather. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little different than what I've been doing because I actually had something to talk about. Still going in loops about what I was saying, but hey, it was something to talk about. A little bit different, but thank you all for watching. I really hope you did enjoy just listening to what I had to say today. Just blabbing, really. But oh, there's a rock dragon and a sphinx. So I'll clear those out. Then I'll head off. Push to the next phase. Also, there are a lot of short-sighted things I said in this video. I am well aware of that. Some things that could easily be like what, just do this or something. But it's just some thoughts and ideas I've had. I'm sure if I scripted it, would be able to come out better. But I don't script my videos. I don't really put too much effort into these, clearly. But yeah, maybe I will get into script though if I actually become more popular. Actually, probably not, but... okay, so that's that. Yeah, I don't script them, probably won't ever script them, but all I can say is it would be a lot more concise if I did script them rather than just saying what I was thinking and following those trains of thoughts for a while. But I really hope you did enjoy it today. If you did stick around, I don't know if people stick around. I don't check my video's performance. But thank you for watching if you did, and have a great day.